Coming up on this episode of Nintendo Cartridge Society, finally, Rayman has a cameo in a Rabbids game. It's dangerous to go alone, so the Nintendo Cartridge Society goes with ya. Welcome to Nintendo Cartridge Society. My name is Patrick Ellers, and I'm joined, as I am always joined, by my co-host, Mark Mitchell. We've got a good show for you today. We are going to be talking about the news from the week, including a new 2D platformer starring Mickey Mouse. And then today, I guess the next day after this episode airs, we're talking about this gosh darn Nintendo Direct that just fell out of the sky. But Mark, in the meantime, how you doing?
I'm doing great. Yeah, so there's a Nintendo Direct.
Programming change.
That is
programming change.
Possibly by the time you've listened to this episode, already been released. And so we're going to be foregoing our usual Tuesday, Thursday schedule.
Mm-hmm.
Another switch up, 2 switch ups in a row. 2 weeks in a row with switch ups.
Oh, kind of 3 weeks in a row with switch ups because you weren't on the episode 2 weeks ago.
That's right. You know, change is good. We embrace change.
That's right.
But this week, because there's a Nintendo Direct today, we're going to record an episode with reactions to that Nintendo Direct, and it'll be released today as well.
Yes, that's right. So this will be like the one day ever where like we're going to get it out to you as soon as possible, which is still going to be like, I don't know, 8 or 9 o'clock Pacific time. But there'll be 2 episodes of NCS coming out in one day.
Pray for us because we're praying
That's right.
for you.
It's only fair, frankly. Here's another thing you could pray for. My copy of Sonic Forces for the Nintendo Switch. Would you like to borrow it? All you got to do, forget prayer. That's not going to help you on this one. You got to email us at Nintendo Cartridge Society
at gmail.com
and give us a mailing address so we can send you my copy of Sonic Forces for the Switch. You play it for as long as you want. You send it back. I've paid for postage both ways, there and back. And it's a perfect borrowing program. There may be a copy of Untitled Goose Game in there, but that does not make the program any less perfect.
We did not include this in the news, but there was an interview that came out a little while ago from like the director or the head of the Sonic team about Sonic Frontiers. That's the one that's coming out this November. And he says that Sonic Frontiers has like the most content ever for a Sonic game, which somehow feels like a threat to me.
Oh. Well, okay. Do you think that... So it may have the most content of any Sonic game, but does it have as much content as the Sonic Forces borrowing program?
I don't think that's possible.
Which has at least 2 video games as a part of it. Plus this whole like mailing thing that like is also very interesting.
Did you also see that Sonic Frontiers has a fishing minigame featuring... What is it?
Big the Cat?
Big the Cat.
I did not see that, but I did deduce immediately that it was Big the Cat. Did you also see, this is again, we're not reporting on any Sonic news today, but that the director of the Sonic Adventure games said that he would be down for a Sonic Adventure 3, but it would require a lot of like time and intensive resources?
That sounds a lot like what Masahiro Sakurai said about a Kid Icarus Uprising.
Except Masahiro Sakurai was like, no way, don't do it. It would take way too long. So the Sonic Adventure 3 guy is like, let's do it.
A glutton for punishment.
That's right.
Here's another thing that you can do is you can leave us a 5-star review on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or anywhere that you get your podcasts. We appreciate it so much when you do. It helps people find the show. Patrick and I really love reading your reviews. If you leave us a review on the U.S. Apple Podcast Store, we can see it and we'll give you a shout out on the show. But if you leave us a review somewhere else or you share the show in some other way, we can't see it, but we still want to acknowledge it. So let us know, send us an email, hit us up on Twitter, and we'll give you a shout out on the show.
Or you could tell us on Discord that you did so. But to do that, you'd have to be in our Discord, which requires an invitation. It's invite only, Mark. It's very exclusive, except we let everyone in who asks for an invitation. So email us, hit us up on Twitter, let us know that you would like to be part of that Discord. It is a cool, chill place where people are talking about Nintendo. It's going to be popping off tomorrow during the Nintendo Direct, and I anticipate having some fun conversations out of there. So get in there. It'll be a great time. Mark, we got an email from a listener, Mark from Brisbane, and so this is actually 2 emails, but we're gonna read them both. Mark writes, "Hi, Patrick and Mark. I'm currently listening to your ranking of the Mario Kart tracks.
Oh no.
And really enjoying it.
Oh, okay, good.
I have noticed over your last few ranking shows that you haven't been reaffirming your friendship at the beginning, that you'll still be friends by the end of the ranking. I'm up to the Baby Park and Mute City's suggestion of putting them into the pocket dimension, and you both have differing opinions, which makes me terrified that this will be the end of your friendship. I'm on the edge of my seat. I'm not sleeping. I haven't eaten for an hour or 2. I'll keep pressing on with this episode and hope it all works out in the end. But could you please get back to letting us all know that, as per usual, you'll still be friends at the end of the episode. Really love the show, Mark." So that's one email. And then I did not respond to this email because I thought better to keep the suspense going. And then Mark writes the following week. "Hi, Patrick and Mark. I've just heard part 2 of your Mario Kart rankings, and Mark just reaffirmed that you'd still be friends by the end of the rankings. So you can disregard my previous message. Thank you for allaying my fears. I can now sleep again and am back to eating. Phew, that was a roller coaster of emotions. On a completely separate issue, Patrick, you had mentioned that you had ordered an analog pocket. I also ordered one about a month before you, and he's very excited about it and says, I can't wait. The first game I'll play will be Minish Cap, then Mario versus Donkey Kong. All the best, Mark." So let this be a lesson to us. We really need to set out with intention at the beginning of these things to remind everyone that we will still be friends at the end of these rankings.
That's a good note, because I think we have on a couple of past ones not laid that ground rule. So who knows what would have happened by the end.
And truly, if we don't say it up front, it's possible that we won't be friends by the end of the rankings.
That's right.
That's in
We
play.
definitely didn't do it for the Street Fighter one.
No, that's true.
I think we were hedging our bets a little bit there.
Here's the thing. The Street Fighter one went, well, it was chaos, and I still can't believe we haven't been murdered for it. I think we made all the right choices, and we're largely in agreement all the way through.
I think so, too.
All right, Mark, let's get into what we've been playing this week. Mark, I've been playing Splatoon 3. I've been loving Splatoon 3.
I have not had a chance to boot it up yet.
Mark has been traveling, so we will forgive this. He's currently very jet-lagged, but putting on a good face for me and for you, so that we can talk about what we've been up to in games. I really am having a good time with Splatoon 3 right now. I've done some of the single player. I've done quite a few turf wars, and I did 1 round of Salmon Run, and I'm looking forward to playing a lot more of that. Salmon Run feeling easy right now. I don't know why. Maybe because I've been spending so much time in Turf War, and that is not as easy. I do routinely get owned in Turf War. But yeah, I'm having a great time with it. If you want more in-depth thoughts of mine, I was on the Video Games A Comedy show over the weekend, posted on Monday, talking about Splatoon 3. Adrian Holmes, previous guest of this show, is also on that episode. So go and check that out.
And that's hosted by
Jeremy Schmidt. Yes.
Oh, okay, got it.
A great, a really fun conversation about Splatoon 3.
In your time with Splatoon 3 thus far, is there? Because I feel like our conversation about Splatoon 3 up to its release was we were very excited.
Yes,
but seemed like more of Splatoon. Not a bad thing, just kind of like there was no grand revolution. I'm curious, now that you spent time with it, is that still your feeling?
Viva la gran revolution! Still kind of, yeah. There is the single player mode is more inventive than I was expecting.
Oh.
It's also more interesting than it presents itself in the first hour or so of gameplay. There is a turn that happens very early that reveals itself to be, so I don't want to give away because the experience itself is very cool. That it's just much more involved and interesting.
Mm-hmm.
It sort of borrows elements from the Octo expansion, but also sort of borrows elements from Bowser's Fury.
Oh,
So it's very It's very cool.
Oh, that's really interesting.
So yeah, well, the single player is probably still more of an afterthought than anything else. It is a like rich, full afterthought. And I mean, honestly, it's I in previous Splatoon games, I go like right to the single player and like do that and get familiar with weapons, whatever. But I've been having too much fun just messing around in Turf War, and like sometimes partnering up with friends, sometimes just going in solo. And so I'm having a blast with it. I can't wait for you to get in there, Mark.
Yeah,
We can
I'm
start
really
ripping it up
excited.
together.
What is that like waiting room experience like?
Pretty good. I mean, it's not even when you are playing with your friends, it doesn't feel like you're in that space with them. Like you can see like the sort of Force Ghost version of them like swimming around in ink. And I guess that's kind of cool, but yeah, it doesn't have the same sort of immediacy as.
But has it been pretty easy when you want to connect with friends to like meet up?
Yeah.
That's awesome. That's so nice.
Super easy to either like just join up with someone or to open a room and then have your friends join. Super easy, super fast. I think I had over the weekend maybe 2 or 3 games drop on me, communication errors occur. But there's no point where the online experience like stutters. It's either successful or it isn't, right? I mean, I probably played 50 matches or something this weekend, and to lose, to drop on like 3 of them, it's pretty good.
Not that bad.
Not that bad.
So the one thing that I did have an opportunity to play while traveling is Super Mario Brothers 3.
Oh, were you getting those platinum points?
I was getting those platinum points. Here's the thing is that I love Super Mario Brothers 3, arguably my favorite Mario game of all time, I thought. But when I was like and I love Super Mario Brothers 3. It is it was a formative video game experience for me. Like I love it. I think it's a great game. But this time when I went back to it, it was I have a lot of more appreciation now for like the new Super Mario Brothers games, especially like new Super Mario Brothers U, because I think that the platforming in the newer games, newer 2D games, is better. I think it's like more inventive. You have like more moves. I think Super Mario Brothers 3, when you go back to it, is like fairly simplistic. And the levels are short. Like you can like speed through them. Like there's a few levels, now that I know that game so well, it takes like 20 seconds to just like run, avoid all the enemies. So it was just an interesting experience going through it this time, because I still think it's an amazing game. But like if somebody grew up on the new Super Mario Brothers game and then goes back and plays a game like Super Mario Brothers 3, I think they'd be disappointed. Like I don't know how well it would hold up for someone who's completely new to it.
That is interesting. I do think there's obviously a component of like the older game has older sensibilities, even if it is trailblazing and like doing all these things that would, drive the direction of the genre and of video games in general for a while, that it still is old, right? It still has strange sensibilities. You still have a finite number of lives. You're still collecting 100 coins to get 1 extra life. Like the economy of it doesn't make any sense.
Well, and like Mario's moveset is so limited compared to like the platforming you can do today, where you're bouncing off walls, you are, hopping on
triple jumping.
Yeah, just like it's just so different now. And again, that's not to say that Super Mario Brothers 3 is like not a good game. It was just really interesting playing through it this time and comparing it in my mind to new Super Mario Brothers U, and just seeing how, like, for the longest time I thought not that highly of the new Super Mario Brothers games.
Yeah.
But I think like the longer they exist and the further away we are from the last one, I'm like, oh no, actually they're really good.
I mean, it is strange to me that they don't like I guess they were for a little while, but why we're not getting a new Super Mario Brothers game every like 3 years or every 2 years or whatever.
Yeah.
Because like, yeah, I'm down for a new Mario game, honestly, as frequently as you can give them to me. But yeah, like the new Super Mario Brothers games they're not lesser than. Like we had a good time playing new Super Mario Brothers 2 on the 3DS. the original's great. The Wii one is super fun. I don't know. I think you are right that they are all good games and all good like modern games, which is sort of different than being a revolutionary old game.
Yeah, totally.
But also like measure it against like almost any other NES game, and like Super Mario Brothers 3 is like,
I mean, it's still amazing.
It's
Don't
still
get me
a
wrong.
master-
It's yeah.
I mean, you just came in here being like Super Mario Brothers 3 not as good as you think it is. Well that's great, Mark. I checked out Wave Race 64.
What is
Yes.
your experience coming back to it now?
I love it.
Okay.
I absolutely love it. I don't agree with your criticism that it looks like butt or partial butt or whatever.
Half butt.
Half
but
butt.
we said it was the like the crack part. So like the
Right, the upper part of the
Uh-huh.
butt. Which is the least attractive part of the butt? The upper half or the bottom half? There's no way to know. No, I loved going back to it and like trying to do the stunt tracks, and yeah, it's the controls are so like finicky, and you have to like really be working against the waves in the water and stuff, and I was just having like the best time like remembering how to do that. So I really loved it. Other games I've been playing this week, Mark, I finished Picross S2. I finished every puzzle in it.
Wow.
Every single one. I have a clear time of like 36 and a half hours or something like that. So I started Picross S3. Nothing really to report there other than it's Picross and I love it. I've been playing that TMNT Cowabunga collection, which is amazing. Such a good like packaging of all these classic NES, arcade, Super NES, and Genesis games. I beat the original Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles for the NES.
Whoa.
Using this and just like rewinding like crazy. Was never able to do that as a kid, and like I was an obsessive kid, loved Ninja Turtles, would memorize video games so I could get to the end of them, and could never do it with Ninja Turtles, and I did it like a week and a half ago.
That's really fun.
It felt great. And I'm so happy that I've seen the whole game now. That I fought Shredder. I defeated Shredder. And then last but not least, Sarah and Ryan, previous guests on the show, Ryan Mogi, and I played Overcooked 2 on Labor Day, and it was a wonderful time. We spent like 2 hours just like drinking and playing Overcooked 2, yelling at each other about throwing beef across a hot air balloon, which is all that you can really ever want out of a Labor Day get together, right?
I've never played Overcooked 2. Does it add new, like, what are the twists? What does it add over Overcooked 1? Or is it more just like
Overcooked,
more
yeah.
levels? Yeah.
I mean, it's more levels and there are like different recipes, but like nothing that you have to do by like different methods, right? There's still like the fry basket. There's still like a pot that you like boil soup in or like make pasta in or whatever. Yeah, I don't think there are any like new mechanics necessarily, just like new ingredients, new levels, and new dishes that you're serving up.
That's fun.
And it's Overcooked. Like it's chaotic fun where you can scream at people. Like it's what more could you ask for? All right, that's what we've been playing this week. Let's get into the new releases and what we might be playing next week. Mark, already I think we just had to say this is probably an incomplete list because with a Nintendo Direct coming out today, there's bound to be some other stuff that's out today.
That's right. But here's what we know. As of Monday night. Voice of Cards, The Beast of Burden, is released today on the Switch eShop. I haven't played any of these Voice of Cards games, but I love that they just continue to come out.
I like that this is like a groove that you've settled into, that you're going to shout out every Voice of Cards game.
Yeah.
Even though I don't even think you know what the game is.
I mean, I know that I had never heard of this game until it was
Right.
like this particular one, until it was on this release.
Right.
So no, yeah, I've absolutely.
I like this.
I have
I'm
absolutely
not trying to call you out or
yeah,
anything.
no,
I'm
I have
saying I like
absolutely
it.
no idea what the Beast of Burden is. I'm assuming it plays exactly like the other ones, maybe with some additional features. I just like that for whatever reason, Square Enix is content to just like publish these. They must sell. What I don't understand is the development time, like the lead time on these, means that they must be in the works,
Yeah, well before they know that the previous one has been a success.
or not a success. Exactly.
Yeah.
So are they just like doing this
They're just running out the clock.
I don't know. Like, how many more
it's a
of these
contractual
are?
thing. Or maybe it's a producer scenario and they're trying to tank the studio.
Oh yes,
Maybe
that's
that's it.
right. They really want to sell to Sony.
That's right.
They're like, we're gonna keep releasing these Voice of Cards games until Sony buys us. Nobody Saves the World Frozen Hearth DLC is released, and Patrick, you're gonna have to help me out on this one.
Okay, so Nobody Saves the World is like an overhead action RPG from Drinkbox, the studio that made the Guacamelee games and Severed. My buddy Pete is a big fan of this game. Recently got a tattoo from the game on the back of his arm. Looks very cool. But yeah, so the game is getting DLC and it is available on Switch today, along with a like kind of bundle that sells both Nobody Saves the World and the Frozen Hearth DLC in one pack.
And then on Thursday, September 15th, Bear and Breakfast.
Finally, Bear and Breakfast.
The game that was initially revealed at an Indie World Showcase, I think in 2020, maybe early 2021, is releasing on Switch. It came out on PC a little while ago, but a few weeks ago. But
they had to work on controller support.
That's right. Yep. Yeah. And so that is finished and it's releasing on Switch.
Are you interested in Bear and Breakfast now that we are getting to it?
So the reviews from the PC release kind of turned me off of it. I know. I think that no, I am not. I don't think I'm gonna pick up Bear and Breakfast.
Okay, let's pause here for a second because there's a kind of game in Bear and Breakfast that I am currently missing, right? A cozy game. Right? Something a little slower paced that's just like building out a world or whatever.
Right, but the reviews are like, oh, it's like darker and a little more like it doesn't seem like it's actually a cozy game.
Oh.
Which is so weird. Or that was my impressions from like the PC reviews, which is kind of what turned me off of buying it. But if somebody out there has played it or has heard otherwise, definitely let me know.
Well, so, I guess like other possible cozy game candidates here would be like Cult of the Lamb, right? Which is getting pretty good reviews all around, but has that like it's cozy, but there's also like an action like roguelike dungeon crawling thing, and it's like it is also very dark.
Right.
Maybe like
it's like dark humor.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
So I think all of that is like missing the cozy target that I'm painting on the ground here. And I wonder, Mark, Disney Dreamlight Valley.
It could be.
That could be it.
It could be it.
Am I gonna like what?
I think.
Can I be the kind of person that buys Disney Dreamlight Valley?
Do you have to buy it, or is it
so.
free to start? Okay, so you have. I think you. Here's what I think.
Yeah, tell me.
I think you should, because I think you should create an avatar so you can go take a selfie with Ursula like we saw in the commercials.
Yeah, I mean that sounds great.
For the trailer for Dreamlight Valley.
Is it Dreamlight or Dreamlife Valley? We don't have to look it up. In fact, I'd rather we not.
Which one do you think it is?
I think it's Life.
I think it's Light.
Dreamlight Valley.
I think so.
Like it's low in fat?
No, like it's radiating light.
Okay, yes. All right. Well, I do think that there's a news story later in the episode about it. So maybe we'll just encounter it in the notes.
Okay.
And see what I wrote when I copied down the news
story.
All right.
I mean, I looked it up. I know you said not to look it up, but I did look it up.
Yeah.
But I'm not going to tell you what it is.
Oh, man.
Yeah.
That's cruel. All right, Mark, let's close this section out. Which brings us to a regular segment on our show. It is time for 433. In 1952, American composer John Cage wrote a piece called 433, wherein a performer or a group of performers didn't play their instruments for 4 minutes and 33 seconds. For the purposes of this show, our instruments are talking about Nintendo. So, for the duration of one performance, 433, Mark and I will talk about something not at all Nintendo related, thus fulfilling the contract of the piece.
Mark.
Did you just call me Mark?
I did.
Mark, you've got serious jet lag here.
It's been a long day.
You're
Patrick,
doing great. Yes,
I have one for you.
Yeah.
Okay. So, I feel like when I'm buying clothes, I gravitate towards blue. Like that is the color, like blue and gray. That is usually like the colors something like fairly neutral but still colorful.
Yes.
Or like still having some sort of color in it, and it tends to be blue. Or are there like colors that you feel like your wardrobe usually falls into?
Yeah, I mean, I also wear a lot of blue. I also wear a fair amount of pink, or at least I do now wear a fair amount of pink. I've been wearing a lot of like bird and floral prints.
Oh, okay.
Lately, especially in like a button down. Because those are all like sort of like fitting the vibe these days. I did go clothes shopping last weekend, and I was looking around at like shirts, and I kept being like, my skin is too light to wear this color, and it was just like,
I know.
I just couldn't find clothes that I was like, where this is gonna look right on me.
Yeah, no, yeah. I think especially like there are times where I'm going clothes shopping and I have the need to branch out. I'm like, I want to do something different, but I always end up kind of going back to the thing that I'm comfortable with. So what we're going to do for the remainder of this 433 is I have a wheel of colors that I'm going to spin, and then we are going to say whether we have like an item of clothing in that color, and whether we ever wear it or if we just own it. So the first color is deep orange. Do you own anything that is deep orange?
Deep orange. I think I have a pair of shorts that are deep orange.
I do not think I own anything that is deep orange. This is one of those colors that I think looks bad on me.
Interesting. I don't think I would wear a deep orange shirt. Unless it was like a workout kind of, one of those like wicking sort of materials.
Yeah.
But yeah, otherwise, I think just the bottom half of my body. Honestly, as when it comes to tops versus bottoms, my bottoms, I think I'm more adventurous there.
Yeah, you know what? I think I am too. And I say that because I recently bought a pair of yellow shorts.
Whoa!
Yeah, and was really feeling, you know, like I still think there's like one shirt I can wear with it that doesn't look ridiculous.
Right.
Okay.
It is important to note that neither of us are adventurous dressers at all.
Yeah, no, it's so true. Deep purple, another deep.
Ooh.
Do you own anything? I tend to stay away from purple because I worry about looking Jokerish. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, and you would look really jokery in purple. I have a purple hoodie. That says Prince on the back, and it's got like the Prince like logo on the front, or what his name was for a while. And I like that, but every time I wear it, I feel like I'm wearing a costume. Right. So also it's been 100 degrees for the last 2 weeks, so even the thought of wearing a hoodie just seems outrageous to me.
So we just talked about this, but yellow. Do you own anything yellow?
I own a yellow tank top. But when it comes to tanks, I don't know. I feel like all the rules are different when it comes to a tank top.
I mean, it's half clothed anyways.
What do you mean?
Well, it's missing, like the sleeves. It's barely anything.
I mean, I love wearing a tank, though. It's not something that I liked before the pandemic, but as soon as I couldn't go outside anymore, I was like, forget it. Tank tops.
The pandemic really changed, and like being indoors as long as we were in Los Angeles really changed me too, because I never ever wore shorts.
I was going to congratulate you today for wearing those shorts out of the house.
It's true. I wear shorts now. I just don't
just do it. Yes.
Care. Blue was the next color that came up, and as already stated, we wear a lot of blue.
We wear a lot of blue. That's the end of this performance at 4:33. There's no applause here, so we will stop there. Mark, today we're accompanied by piano quartet Bubble Tea. All right, Mark, let's get into the news.
Yesterday, Nintendo announced a 40-minute Nintendo Direct streaming out Tuesday morning at 7 a.m. Pacific time. So, yes, that is 7 hours after this episode will post.
Right. So there's the very narrow window wherein you could be listening to this episode and have our same perspective on the Nintendo Direct, which is that we currently know nothing about what's going to be in it.
That's right. One thing of note is that the presentation will not be streaming in the UK out of respect for the Queen They're like in a period of mourning, but the video will premiere at 1600 GMT, so 4 p.m. GMT.
Yep. So
Uh,
you'll get all the information. It just won't be. Does that mean that it starts that it premieres after the stream, or Mark doing the math in his head? He's
yes,
counting
I
up,
think
counting down?
I think it does, because 7 a.m. Pacific time will be 3 p.m. In the UK.
Oh, okay.
So I think it's basically just like the presentation will happen, and then
they get the whole video.
Nintendo UK will post the video.
Which is good, because otherwise, if they premiere the video, people could go to the UK one, skip all the way to the end, and see what everything is.
That's right.
And then tweet out spoilers.
Yes. I do. Well, whatever. We don't have to get into it. PlayStation has also announced a state of play for tomorrow. Interesting timing.
Yep. Very strange timing.
Theirs is at 3 p.m. Pacific time and promises about 20 minutes of updates on 10 games for PS5, PS4, and PSVR 2.
So we discussed this a little bit at dinner, but let's talk about it now. Some sort of coordination happening here. How do you think these two video game giants stay out of each other's way for something like this?
Yeah, I feel like there has to be some sort of gentleman's agreement going on, because
Right.
it's strange that, or not strange, but just interesting that they are both having like a presentation on the same day.
Yeah, it is literally coincidental. Two incidents happening, right?
And the last few like main directs,
Yeah.
which we haven't had a ton in the recent past, but they have been in the afternoon, not in, or I guess even the partner showcase in June was like in, I think in the afternoon. But anyways,
Is that true? I feel like they're always early. I feel like I'm always waking up early for these things.
well, the past
Maybe that's
few
Pokemon.
Yeah, the past few like presentation, like the Pokemon Presents and like the Sakurai Presents, like those would always be early. But I feel like recently Nintendo, like the main directs have been in the afternoon, or at least the ones that I can remember in the recent past. So yeah, I think it's just interesting that they're both having presentations tomorrow.
Are they both having presentations tomorrow because Sony is finally buying Nintendo and shutting down the Nintendo Switch forever?
and they're not buying it for. And is it just the Nintendo Switch they're shutting down, or are they just shutting down Nintendo?
Yeah, they're bringing back the 3DS, shutting down the Nintendo Switch.
Like we said,
They want another Dylan's Dead Heat Racers game.
The Nintendo Direct will, be out probably by the time a lot of people are listening to this. Any last minute things we want to say about the Nintendo Direct at this point?
Geez, so I think the only thing that I want to say about it is that I am currently in a very zen place with it, right? Whatever happens in it, whatever announcements, whatever surprises, they're going to be surprises to me, right? Like I no longer have the expectation that like we're going to see Metroid, that we're going to see Zelda even though, it's like probably about time we hear a little bit more about Breath of the Wild 2, maybe a title, I don't know. But these are not in my pile of expectations anymore. Whatever we get, I'm just sort of along for the ride.
Yeah, I totally feel the same way. One thing that I have like observed in the kind of like Disney fandom is Disney had its D23 like fan convention last week, and there were rumors about what they were going to announce for the theme parks.
Yeah.
And then they had their theme park presentation, and like none of the stuff that was rumored happened, and people have been very kind of like upset about that, which I think is so interesting to be reacting like with this direct. There's been rumors of Zelda games and like a Metroid remake and like all that kind of stuff. And so our reactions are kind of like predicated on the rumors. We're like reacting to, I don't know, it's just kind of like a weird fan cycle. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, and just, another thing that happened at D23, like during that Marvel panel, like there were rumors that we were going to get information, like real information about the Fantastic Four, including like a cast. And like Kevin Feige had to be like, Matt Shackman is directing it, that's already been announced. He's here, but he doesn't have anything to show you. He doesn't have anything to say. Like the movie's not going to come out for years. We don't know anything about it yet.
Yeah.
And yeah, he had to address it because there were rumors. And Nintendo doesn't play that game. If there are rumors and Nintendo's not ready to talk about it, like too bad. We just don't get it. but yeah, it's I feel like going into this with no expectations is going to be the best way to always the best way to go. Um, but this one in particular, the fact that they only gave us a day's notice, literally 24 hours notice, makes me I don't know. It feels like electric and like surprising, and I say no expectations, but like I would like to be surprised by something.
It's still a Nintendo Direct.
Still a Nintendo Direct.
Yeah.
And Game and Watch, come on! I want one. It's September. Last 2 years they've announced some kind of Game and Watch. Where's my Kirby Game and Watch? I want it. I want it.
But we'll be talking about it a lot more.
Yes, we will.
Later today. Splatoon 3 has become the fastest selling game of all time in Japan. Over the launch weekend, Splatoon 3 moved 3.45 million units, according to Nintendo, overtaking the previous record holder of Animal Crossing New Horizons by about 700,000 copies.
We're talking outrageous numbers here, just astronomically high numbers. Why is Splatoon so popular in Japan?
I don't know, but I think it's awesome that it does so well. That it does so well there, and that it's like growing so much from game to game.
Yeah.
Like, and also like Splatoon 1 released on the Wii U, so I think its attach rate to overall Wii U's like in Japan was really high, but small install base.
Right. Install base of on the Wii U is like 13 million total.
Splatoon 2 came out early in the Switch's life and had updates, like content for 2 years, I think it was, or was it just like 1 year? Yeah, something like that. And so, kind of like the game is still playable and everything, but a limited window where they were doing where it was like a really active. There were lots of updates, Splatfest, like all that kind of stuff.
And still during the time when like you couldn't get Switches and there just weren't that many in the wild because there weren't that many in existence.
Yeah, so this is like the first Splatoon game that's releasing when the install base for consoles is huge.
Right.
So I'll be really interested to see how it does worldwide. But happy to see it doing well here. Here's a top 10 for best-selling releases, fastest-selling releases in Japan.
And I believe these are all opening weekend numbers.
Got it. So number 1, Splatoon 3, like we talked about, with 3.45 million, followed by Animal Crossing New Horizons with 2.68 million. So crazy to me that Splatoon 3 bigger than Animal Crossing. Like Splatoon in Japan now is like Nintendo's biggest franchise.
It's wild stuff, and by almost a third. Like it blows that previous record away.
Number 3 is Pokemon Black and White with 2,637,285.
I like that we have that down to the all the way to the decimal point.
Yeah, okay. PlayStation 1, Final Fantasy 8 in number 4 at like, I'm just going to round these, 2.54 million. Dragon Quest 9 for the Nintendo DS at number 5, 2.3 million. Dragon Quest 8 on the PlayStation 2 at 2.2 million. Monster Hunter Freedom 3 for the PlayStation Portable on 2.1. That feels so formal calling it the PlayStation Portable and not just the PSP.
I was a little taken aback.
Pokemon XY at 2.09 million for the 3DS, and then number 9, Final Fantasy 7 on the PS1, 2.03 million. Finally, number 10, Pokemon Sword and Shield on the Nintendo Switch at 2 million.
But so what's we went through that whole list, and like it's interesting to note that like basically everything, Final Fantasy, Dragon Quest, Pokemon, right? Like those are it. Those are and then there's also a Monster Hunter thrown in there because of course there's a Monster Hunter thrown in there. But for Splatoon and Animal Crossing to not be represented in the top 10 anywhere else, I don't know. There's something Nintendo's doing something right where Japan is concerned. I think they're doing something right, period. But those are some impressive numbers.
Ubisoft premiered an Ubisoft Forward over the weekend, revealing there's like a bunch of Assassin's Creed and Tom Clancy games we should not anticipate playing on Switch anytime soon. But they also went into some detail on Mario plus Rabbids Sparks of Hope, which is coming out just next month. There was a 10-minute gameplay video, including an encounter with a Wiggler enemy. It was like a Wiggler boss battle.
Which, look, I like. I like a Wiggler.
Yep. At least 3 sets of DLC are coming to this game, and the third one includes Rayman.
So this is like the news that came out of this thing, right? This is the spectacular. This is the shocking thing. Rayman. Mark, do you have a history with the Rayman games?
No, I have never played any of them up to like Rayman Legends. I think, which I bought on sale. I think it's that one. There's like also
there's Legends and Origins.
I think it's Legends is the one that I played.
So I definitely played one of those and enjoyed it. Well, I was playing it on the PlayStation Vita is what I was playing it on. And I enjoyed my time with it, but didn't put a ton of time.
Same, yeah. Otherwise, I don't really have like any experience with the character.
Right. No, and I certainly don't have any like affection. I'm not like, oh, Rayman, cool. But like, whatever. Throw another. Again, I think playable character, but all of the press around this thing kept referring to him as a new hero. And I have to assume that means a playable character, but like, I mean, genuinely, who knows?
Do you think that Rayman will like be playable with the Mario characters, or do you think it'll be Rayman and like the Rabid Mario characters? Because I wonder if those two worlds can mix.
Yeah, I mean the worlds kind of inherently mix, right? Because of the Rabbids?
Well, I mean, sure, that's the intersection between the two,
I see.
yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I think we'll probably have Mario and Rayman on the same screen at the same time. You think they'll shake hands?
They wouldn't
what
dare.
What do you think they talk about?
Yeah, what do you think?
What do they talk about in the car on the way to the show? What do you think they talk about?
And it is Rayman, not Rayman.
I don't know how often the name is spoken.
I just don't know.
I'm gonna say Rayman because like I think he's like a man because like Raymond, like the name Raymond has a D,
right,
and like an O probably, right? How do you spell Raymond? Everybody loves Ray. Shoot, his name's just Ray.
No. I mean, but the show is Everybody Loves Raymond.
Yeah, that's a good point. Everybody loves Raymond.
I think it's with an O.
Here's the thing: I've never watched an episode of the show.
Into Pokemon Scarlet and Pokemon Violet live stream last week, Nintendo announced a special edition Nintendo Switch OLED system releasing November 4th, inspired by the games. So, I just have to tell you up front, I think this is kind of ugly.
Here's the thing. I think that's what the Nintendo Switch OLED models are. I think that there is an aesthetic that they're going for on these things that's always too much for me. Because that's how I feel about the Splatoon 3 one as well.
Yeah. So the legendary Pokemons from the game, Koraidon and Miraidon, are displayed on the glossy front side of this of the like system's dock, and then a Pokeball design is on the back. The back of the Switch itself has illustrations of the 3 starters from the game. So the Sprigatito, the Fue Coco, and Quaxley, plus like other symbols that you'll recognize from the world of the game. And then the Joy-Con controllers one is Scarlet, one is Violet, and they feature the school emblems that appear in each of the games.
So a lot of design on this thing.
Yeah.
Which, again, like if you're, I keep starting sentences by saying again, and I've not made any point about the thing, but I start by saying again. It's just I'm like backing up the argument in my head, being like, you're gonna say this twice, so say again now. I now I forget even what I was saying. There's just a lot going on.
There is a lot, yes.
And the aesthetic for both this and the Splatoon 3 Switch OLED are just like, is this the version of it that you want to carry around? And if you're like an extreme Splatoon head, if you're a Pokemaniac, like it probably does work for you. Myself, as someone who plays like all different kinds of games and who really doesn't want to like be broadcasting to people that I'm playing a specific game on my Switch, it just doesn't make any real sense to me.
Last weekend, Disney held their D23.
But again, we dress boringly, right?
Right.
We're not very adventurous in that regard.
Yeah.
So maybe the same thing just carries over here.
I felt really like I was branching out for buying yellow shorts.
Right.
So we bought the most boring Switch possible when like our launch editions were the gray ones. So that tells you a lot about us. Last weekend, Disney held their D23 fan convention in Anaheim, and during the Disney and Marvel Games Showcase, Disney Illusion Island was announced exclusively for Switch coming in 2023.
I'm very excited about this.
It's developed by Delilah Studios, the team responsible for the 2020 Battletoads game.
Mm-hmm.
And it's Mickey, Minnie, Donald, and Goofy in a 2D platformer that includes local co-op. And the art style is like the art style of those new Mickey cartoons that have been coming out for the past like 5 or 6 years.
Mickey cartoons, which I love, by the way. I really like those shorts, the magical world of, or the wonderful world of Mickey Mouse, whatever they're called, on Disney Plus. They're great, and so I'm very into that style of animation. But also just like the game itself looks like it could be a lot of fun. I know we were just kind of ragging on it, but it almost seems like it's a Rayman game, right? Just like from the style of the platforming and like the 4-player simultaneous. I will absolutely get into this and run around as Mickey and Goofy. And
yeah, totally. Did you play the 2020 Battletoads?
A little bit. I played a little bit of it. Like just about everything I have played on Xbox Game Pass, I feel no attachment to it. And so like as soon as I have a reason to not play, I stop. You know, and then I'm always like, well, it's not like I spent money on this. Mark, I just canceled Xbox Game Pass for the 3rd time.
A few other odds and ends from the D23 presentation. They're relevant to us. Marvel's Midnight Suns got a release date of December 2nd, 2022 for platforms that are not the Switch.
Yes.
The PlayStation 5 and the Xbox Series consoles will be getting the game this year. The Switch version will come out sometime in 2023.
The more we see of this game, the less I'm interested in it.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I mean there's like the tactical like XCOM part of it that is interesting to me. Obviously, we were just talking about Mario and Rabbids, which has gameplay similar to that, but like executing the actual like combat and moves and stuff with cards is just not. It's just not in line with like what I value in a game. So I don't think I'll end up checking this one out.
Disney Dreamlight Valley gets Toy Story content this fall. And Lego Star Wars Skywalker Saga Galactic Edition is being released on November 11th and includes the original Character Collection Pack and the newly announced Character Collection Pack 2, which features like characters from Star Wars Andor, the Lego Star Wars Summer Vacation TV special, Star Wars Obi-Wan Kenobi, Star Wars The Book of Boba Fett, Star Wars Rebels, and Star Wars The Clone Wars. Over 30 playable characters, basically from like the last batch of Disney Plus content.
Which is cool. It's weird to me that they're putting out a galactic edition, a special edition of this game, like 8 months after the game came out originally.
Yeah, and continues to sell really well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And they also keep dropping the price on it too. I'm not convinced they know what they're doing with this product. Like the product is selling super well. Why do they keep dropping the price on it?
Yeah, I don't know.
And why are they putting out like another version of it? Like you wait until the sales have cooled and then you put out another version.
That like bundles all the DLC. I mean, I don't know. Finally, Nintendo has added some Splatoon 3 themed physical rewards for My Nintendo in North America and Europe, a tote bag with a bunch of Splatoon 3 graphics on it, and a set of graffiti stickers. The bag is 800 points, the stickers are 400 points, and Nintendo threading the needle on the copy for these stickers.
I love this because technically these stickers, these graffiti stickers, are like it's sort of tacitly being like, yeah, this is for actual graffiti.
So this is a truly great moment in copywriting.
That's right.
Quote, splat up your services with this set of stickers inspired by the Splatoon 3 game. Featuring 49 durable die-cut stickers across 3 sheets, this reward can be a great way to add a fresh touch to your notebook, skateboard, helmet, or whatever else you can think of.
You know, like the front door of the library. It's very interesting to me that they are selling something called graffiti stickers. I think Nintendo's going to catch any heat for this, or like, is anyone even going to notice?
Hooliganism.
That's what I'm saying. It's a real problem.
With a capital T in that rhymes with P, and that stands for pool.
And then the tote bag like has a bunch of. I shared a photo of it in our run of show here. It's an ugly looking tote bag.
Yeah, it's really the Nintendo Switch OLED edition of tote bags.
I mean, here's what I think it all boils down to. I love the aesthetics of Splatoon within the context of Splatoon. The second that's out in the real world, I'm like, no, I bounce. All right, Mark, let's get out of the news. All right, that is going to do it for this episode of Nintendo Cartridge Society. Join us in just a couple hours as we break down the Nintendo Direct, where we saw... what do we think we're going to see? Some kind of Kirby game?
No, I don't think we're going to see some kind of Kirby game.
No? You think
No.
genuinely this will be the first Direct with no Kirby game in
It
it?
won't be the first Direct with no Kirby game. There's been at least one.
That's going to do it for this episode of Nintendo Cartridge Society. Remember, please rate, review, and follow us on Apple Podcasts or wherever you get your podcasts. If you like the episode, you should share it on Facebook or Twitter, anywhere where you can share things. You can follow us on Twitter. I'm at Patrick_Ellers. Mark is at MKE Mitchell, and the show is at Nin Cart Society. There's also a Facebook page, which is just Nintendo Cartridge Society. Anthony DeLuca made our logo. Our theme music is provided by 8-Bit Betty. You can get more of his music by going to 8bitbetty.com or by listening right now. For my co-host, Mark Mitchell, this is Patrick Eller saying thank you for listening.